November 5th, 1946. A man took a shot from 40 feet away. The glass backboard shattered, delayed the game, made basketball history. But here's what makes it impossible. It wasn't a dunk. It wasn't a layup. It was a set shot during warmups, and the man who broke it would become a television legend, playing a role that would make a Soviet premier leap into his arms. Some say it was athleticism. Others say it was charisma. But what if both were real? He was a two-sport athlete, turned actor, turned Cold War icon. Imagine a man so versatile, he played Major League Baseball and the NBA before either league was famous. An actor whose television western made him a household name in America. And a diplomat whose handshake with Leonid Brezhnev made international headlines. His name was Chuck Connors, and if no one had documented him, we might not have believed a word. From the rifle catch that got him the role to the Soviet premier, who became his biggest fan, he lived 3 impossible careers. But this isn't legend. These moments were filmed. They were recorded. They were witnessed by world leaders. And today, you'll see them. The ones that would sound like lies if the evidence didn't exist. Number 1, the only man to do all 3. Professional athlete, 2 major sports, then Hollywood star. The combination sounds impossible, yet Chuck Connors did it. And the evidence is carved in stone. Height, 6 feet 5 inches. Weight during his athletic career, 190 pounds. By the Rifleman, 215 pounds. 45-inch chest, 34-inch waist. Time magazine documented these measurements in their March 30th, 1959 profile. But here's what makes him unique. 13 men in history have played both Major League Baseball and the NBA. Names like Gene Conley, Dave DeBusschere, Danny Ainge, all documented athletes who crossed between leagues. But Chuck Connors is the only one who became a famous Hollywood actor. The only one who starred in a hit television western. The only one whose face became as recognizable as his statistics. Baseball Almanac verifies his MLB career. Basketball Reference confirms his NBA seasons. IMDb documents 141 film and television credits. And his gravestone at San Fernando Mission Cemetery displays the logos: Brooklyn Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, Boston Celtics, all 3 carved in stone. Think about what that means. Most people spend a lifetime trying to succeed in one field. Connors mastered professional baseball, then professional basketball, then became one of the most recognizable faces on television. The Baseball Almanac archives are official. Basketball Reference statistics are verified. His gravestone with all 3 team logos is photographed and documented. IMDb credits are confirmed. 3 careers, 1 lifetime. The evidence is real. Number 2, the myth everyone believes. But let's talk about what didn't happen, because sometimes the truth is more interesting than the legend. You may have heard this story. Chuck Connors hit the first ball ever out of Ebbets Field, the legendary Brooklyn Stadium, a towering home run that made history. The story appears in articles, on websites, in tributes. It's a great story. It's also completely false. Here's what Baseball Almanac documents. Chuck Connors had exactly 1 at-bat with the Brooklyn Dodgers, May 1st, 1949, his only appearance in a Dodgers uniform. And he didn't hit a home run. He hit into a double play. His career statistics are preserved. 66 games in Major League Baseball, 0 home runs at home, 2 home runs total, both on the road. The Ebbets Field home run never happened. But here's what did happen at Ebbets Field. 1949 spring training. A thrown ball hit Connors in the mouth, required 5 stitches in his lip, and while he recovered, Gil Hodges took over first base, permanently. That injury cost him his Dodgers career. Not a home run, not glory, a ball to the mouth that gave another man his job. Baseball Almanac documents every at-bat. His statistics are official. The injury is confirmed in multiple biographical sources. The Ebbets Field myth is debunked. Sometimes the real story is better than the myth. The injury is documented. Number 3, the Shakespeare quoting ballplayer. But before that injury cost him his future, Chuck Connors was making a name for himself. Just not the way most ballplayers did. At Seton Hall University, Connors played first base, and he had a habit. Every time he was ready for the ball, he'd yell the same thing. "Chuck it to me, baby!" Over and over. "Chuck it to me, baby!" His teammates picked it up. Then the fans. Soon, the entire stadium was chanting it, and Kevin Joseph Aloysius Connors became Chuck Connors forever. But here's what made him different. While other players argued with umpires using profanity, Connors quoted Shakespeare. Sports writers called him the Laurence Olivier of the diamond. He did cartwheels after home runs, recited poetry during rain delays, made baseball fun. And here's the moment that changed everything. December 1946, Boston Baseball Writers' Dinner. Connors performed a dramatic reading of Casey at the Bat. In the audience, Ted Williams, fresh off winning the American League MVP, the greatest hitter in baseball. Williams watched this tall, theatrical first baseman perform, and after, he told Connors something that would prove prophetic. Society for American Baseball Research documents Williams's exact words: "Kid, I don't know what kind of basketball player you are, but you ought to give it up and be an actor." This was 1946. Connors wouldn't make his Hollywood breakthrough until 1953. 7 years before Ted Williams' prediction came true. The nickname Origin appears in encyclopedia.com and multiple biographies. The Shakespeare reputation is documented in contemporary sports writing. The Ted Williams quote is preserved in Sabre archives with 44 footnotes. George Sullivan's The Picture History of the Boston Celtics confirms the story, a nickname from a chant, a prediction from a legend. The documentation exists. Number 4, the night the glass shattered. November 5th, 1946, Boston Garden. The Boston Celtics' first home game in franchise history, and Chuck Connors was about to make history for all the wrong reasons. Pre-game warm-ups. Connors took a shot from 40 feet out, a simple set shot. Nothing violent, nothing dramatic, just a long-range attempt during practice. The ball went in, but the backboard went out. The glass exploded, shards everywhere, game delayed. Basketball's very first home game, and the backboard was destroyed. But here's what makes it impossible to believe. The backboard wasn't shattered by a dunk, not a powerful drive, not even a layup, a 40-foot set shot during warm-ups. The problem? The backboard was improperly installed, missing a rubber cushion, mounted too rigidly, one shot from distance, glass everywhere. And here's where it gets better. The game had to be delayed, while publicist Howie McHugh scrambled to find a replacement. There was one available, at the rodeo, happening in the same building. McHugh's documented account, preserved by Sabre. He had to bribe 2 drunken cowboys to dodge Brahma bulls to retrieve a backup backboard. 2 sports, same night, same building. Cowboys dodging bulls so a basketball game could continue. All because Chuck Connors took a set shot. Multiple sources confirm this story. Sabre's comprehensive biography, The Basketball Network, NBC Sports, Boston's 75th anniversary coverage. The November 5th, 1946 date is verified. McHugh's first-hand account is documented. The first NBA backboard ever shattered. Not by power, by accident during warm-ups. The evidence is verified. Number 5, the rifle catch that changed television. But 12 years later, 1958, Chuck Connors walked into an audition that would define his career for a new Western called The Rifleman, and the director had a test. Connors walked in, introduced himself, and without warning, the director threw a rifle at him across the room. No warning, just threw it. Major League Baseball reflexes. Instant. Connors caught it cleanly. One hand, like fielding a line drive at first base. The director smiled. "You've got the part." Time magazine documented this moment in their March 30th, 1959 profile, The 6-Gun Galahad. The audition story became legendary, and it makes perfect sense. A man who'd fielded grounders at Ebbets Field could catch a flying rifle in a casting office. But here's what happened after he got the role. The rifle wasn't just a prop. It was an engineering marvel. Modified Winchester Model 1892. Engineered by gunsmith James S. Stembridge, with a set screw specifically designed to prevent Connors from puncturing his finger during rapid cycling. Because Connors didn't just carry the rifle, he spun it. The opening credits show 12 shots fired in under 6 seconds. though the rifle only held 11 rounds, shorter. Blank cartridges allowed extra capacity. One shot was dubbed, but the speed was real. Hollywood gun coach Rod Redwing trained Connors until he became, in Redwing's words, as fast and lethal with ball ammo as he appeared on film with blanks. In a late 1980s demonstration, decades after the show ended, Connors performed the famed rifle spin and hit bullseye with every shot. His 6'5" frame and long reach allowed him to spin cock the 20-inch barrel without modification. Shorter actors couldn't do it without hitting themselves. The rifle was built for Chuck Connors' specific body. Time magazine's 1959 profile is archived. The Stembridge rifle modifications are documented in firearms history. Rod Redwing's testimony appears in multiple sources. The late 1980s demonstration is confirmed by witnesses, a catch that got him the role. A rifle built for his body, 12 shots in 6 seconds. The craftsmanship is documented. Number 6. The Father and Son Who Never Forgot. September 30th, 1958. The Rifleman premiered on ABC. Lucas McCain, a widowed rancher raising his son Mark in the New Mexico Territory. Core concept. Father and son, against the world, 168 episodes, 5 seasons, 1958 to 1963. And the relationship between Lucas McCain and Mark McCain defined the show. Chuck Connors was 37 years old. Johnny Crawford, who played his son, was 12. And something happened on that set that transcended television. They became family. Crawford would later say, documented in multiple interviews, he was unique. I'll never meet anybody else like him again. And here's what nobody expected. This always surprises people. Chuck Connors knows Shakespeare. The show's ratings were documented. Debuted at number 4 in Nielsen ratings, with a 33.1 rating in 1958-59. Behind only Gunsmoke, Wagon Train, and Have Gun, Will Travel. Remained in the top 10 for 4 of 5 seasons. Lucas McCain killed 120 villains across 168 episodes. But here's what made the show different. He always tried non-violent solutions first. The rifle was a last resort. The father-son relationship was the heart. And 34 years after the show ended, November 10th, 1992, Chuck Connors died. Johnny Crawford delivered his eulogy, the boy who played his son. Now, 41 years old, standing over the man who'd been his television father, his mentor, his friend. Crawford's eulogy is preserved in multiple sources. The Nielsen ratings are verified by television archives. The 168 episode count is documented by IMDb. Cowboys and Indians magazine published Crawford's remembrances. A television father, a real-life mentor, a friendship that lasted 34 years after the cameras stopped. The relationship was real. Number 7. The show Lucille Ball Killed, 1962. The Rifleman's 5th season. Still popular, still drawing audiences, and ABC moved it to Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Head-to-head against CBS. The competition? The Lucy Show, Lucille. Ball's highly anticipated comeback after I Love Lucy ended. One of the most beloved comedians in television history, returning. The Rifleman never had a chance. Ratings collapsed. The show was canceled after 5 seasons. Not because it was bad, because it went up against Lucy. But here's what's documented. In its final season, The Rifleman's ratings dropped significantly. But the show maintained its quality. Critics praised it, fans loved it, the schedule killed it. And here's the irony. The Rifleman helped build ABC's reputation for quality westerns, paved the way for shows that came after. But when it went up against the biggest star in television, even Lucas McCain couldn't win that gunfight. The 1962-63 schedule change is documented by television historians. The Lucy Show premiere ratings are verified. The cancellation decision appears in contemporary TV guide articles. The final episode aired April 8th, 1963. 5 seasons, 168 episodes. Killed by the schedule, the competition was too strong. Number 8, the Koufax Drysdale Mediator. But 3 years after The Rifleman ended, Chuck Connors found himself in the middle of baseball history. 1966, the most famous contract holdout in sports. Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, the greatest pitcher duo in baseball, demanding $1 million over 3 years. Combined, the Dodgers refused. Both pitchers sat out. Spring training passed, opening day approached, and Chuck Connors, former Brooklyn Dodger, stepped in, played mediator between the players and management, used his relationships on both sides, negotiated, persisted. The result? Koufax signed for $125,000, Drysdale for $110,000. Both became the highest paid players in baseball at that time. The holdout challenged baseball's reserve clause, changed contract negotiations forever. And Chuck Connors, the man who lost his Dodgers career to a ball in the mouth, helped two Dodgers legends make history. The 1966 Koufax-Drysdale holdout is one of the most documented events in baseball history. Connors' mediation role appears in multiple baseball histories and contemporary newspaper accounts. The final contract numbers are verified. The impact on baseball's reserve clause is analyzed in sports history texts, from rejected player to contract mediator. The negotiation is documented. Number 9. The Emmy nomination for playing evil, 1977. 15 years after The Rifleman ended, Chuck Connors took a role that would shock audiences who remembered him as the heroic Lucas McCain. Roots, the groundbreaking miniseries about slavery in America, watched by 130 million people. And Connors played a slave owner, not a sympathetic character, not conflicted, brutal, evil, everything Lucas McCain was not. And he was so convincing that he received hate mail. Viewers couldn't separate the actor from the role, couldn't believe the Rifleman could play such a monster. But the Television Academy saw it. Emmy nomination for Outstanding Single. Performance by a supporting actor. Documented, official. Chuck Connors, who'd spent 5 years playing one of television's most beloved fathers, got nominated for an Emmy for playing one of television's most hated villains. The Roots 1977. Emmy nominations are official Television Academy records. The viewership numbers are verified. Contemporary interviews document the hate mail. Variety covered the nomination, from hero to villain. The Emmy nomination is verified. Number 10. The Soviet premier who leapt into his arms. June 1973, San Clemente, California. President Richard Nixon's Western White House. A state dinner for Soviet Premier Leonid Brezhnev. The height of the Cold War. Detente. Two superpowers trying to find peace. And among the guests, Chuck Connors, the Rifleman, there for a photo opportunity. A handshake, nothing more. Until Brezhnev saw him, the leader of the Soviet Union, the head of the Communist Party, the most powerful man in the Eastern Bloc, spotted Chuck Connors across the room, and he ran, literally ran, threw his arms around the 6'5" actor, and Chuck Connors lifted the Soviet premier off his feet. The New York Times documented it. Their exact words. Mr. Brezhnev rushed over and threw his arms around the tall, rugged star, who hugged back and lifted the laughing Communist Party leader off his feet. Why? Because the Rifleman was huge in the Soviet Union, dubbed into Russian, broadcast across the USSR, and Leonid Brezhnev was Lucas McCain's biggest fan. Connors gave Brezhnev engraved Colt .45 revolvers as a gift. Later, Brezhnev invited Connors to Moscow. Connors accepted, filmed a documentary at the Kremlin, the Soviet Union's most restricted building, open to the Rifleman. And here's the final twist. Both men died on November 10th, Brezhnev in 1982, Connors in 1992, exactly 10 years apart, same date. When Brezhnev died, Connors asked the US government for permission to attend the funeral. They denied him, too politically sensitive, but he wanted to go, to honor the Soviet leader who loved his show. The New York Times coverage from June 1973 is archived. National Archives photographs document the meeting. Time magazine covered the story. The Kremlin visit is confirmed by multiple sources. The November 10th death dates are verified by obituaries. A Soviet premier, a television cowboy, a bear hug that crossed the Cold War. The photographs exist. You've seen the only man to master 3 careers: Major League Baseball, NBA, Hollywood stardom. You've seen the myth debunked. No Ebbets Field home run, a ball to the mouth that cost him everything. You've seen Ted Williams' prophecy: give up basketball and be an actor. 7 years before it came true. You've seen the first NBA backboard shattered, not by a dunk, by a set shot, during warmups. You've seen the rifle catch, the audition that changed television. 12 shots in 6 seconds. You've seen father and son, 34 years after the eye camera stopped. Johnny Crawford delivering the eulogy. You've seen Lucille Ball and the Rifleman, the schedule that even Lucas McCain couldn't survive. You've seen the Koufax Drysdale mediator, the rejected Dodger helping legends make history. You've seen the Emmy nomination for playing evil, hate mail for being too convincing. And you've seen Leonid Brezhnev leap into his arms, a Soviet premiere, a television cowboy, a bear hug that crossed the Cold War. Without documentation, this would sound like fiction. A man who played 2 professional sports, starred in a hit Western, and lifted a Soviet leader off his feet. Too perfect, too impossible, but it's documented. Baseball Almanac, Basketball Reference, the New York Times, National Archives photographs, Television Academy records, Time magazine profiles. Chuck Connors didn't just play a hero, he lived 3 impossible lives. And unlike legends, his story has proof. The statistics are official. The photographs are archived. The Emmy nomination is verified. The evidence is real. Which moment shocked you the most? The backboard shattered by a set shot? The Soviet premier who was his biggest fan? Ted Williams predicting his future? The rifle catch that got him the role? If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and let us know in the comments which old Hollywood legend should we cover next. Thanks for watching. More impossible stories coming soon.